is a test. So thank you so much for tuning in. And of course, this is just a test. I'm just going to run a couple of things. And I hope you guys are doing well out there. I mean, I have an entire, of course, program planned, but I'm actually making some changes around here. So I guess I could get into them just a little bit. So we'll go ahead. I'll give you a little bit of a from the top, and we'll kick off a few lines, and I'll say thanks to the Patriots, and I'll be right back. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. It is a test, but I will say hello to all of my friends before we get started. So I'm going to give you just a few lines. There's a lot of, I have quite a few clips for you actually on today, so you can kind of see what's going on around the country. And, that's what happens on the test. Sometimes the test ends up being the most fun that we have around here, so we'll see. I just want to say hello really quickly to Nick Smith, DJ Vision Barnett, Angry Conservative. I saw you, Angry Conservative. You came in first. And Tyrants Banging TDOA. Thank you so much. And I have some interesting clips, so we're going to kind of wing this one. And got some commentary to go with it. So we'll go ahead with that, even though it's a test on your Saturday. All right, and I will be right back. This show is brought to you in part by our sponsors. Whether you're interested in health, culture, politics, scripture, automobiles, or music, please check out Derek C. Williams, Killer Whale Channels, The Definition of Anarchy, Marcy T., Joseph Francis Burton, Paralysis by Analysis, Chrysler Imperial H, Little Miss Goth, AZ Infidel, Cold War Jesus, Anthony Scioli, and Let the Truth Be Told. We'll be right back right after this. All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in on this segment of The Test from Black Spring with Autumn. So I'll just give you a couple of nuggets here. I'll read a couple comments from Angry Conservative, and he says, I am going to do a stream about the stuff PV put out this week. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for sharing that. And Angry Conservative says, hit the like button. For what it's worth is pretty much where I'm at on that these days, but I appreciate you guys for hanging in there. So you know what? I was going to, formally, gussy it up and, give it a title, of course, and I will do that, but I'm changing some things around here. So there'll probably be a new studio set up. That's what the plan is. But we're going to start out with I'm calling this the Bitter Apple Bites Back. We're going to bite back better with the New York teachers. So, I don't know, New York, it's, it's pretty, I think a lot of people think of New York as, what is it, cliche, the Big Apple. And, when I think about that, I also, I think about Steve Jobs and from a design perspective, he chose the apple, but it's a bitten apple, or it's a a noshed apple. So, I'm kind of curious about that, but we're going to go ahead and see what that's about. And we'll see what the bitter apple does in this. So a little bit, people kind of kicking back better. I say this, I call this the pendulum. Sometimes I refer to it as the pendulum swings back. So I'm going to share that with you right now. So we'll see. We're going to throw some caution to the wind right here on Black Spring. And we're also going to I'm going to take you to Australia, where we'll find someone who's actually, being apprehended for, not being compliant. So, for all purposes, for all liberty or freedom, nuance or spectrum purposes, Australia looks pretty dark right now. But I also have a story about a measure that they're using to make sure that you're where you're supposed to be. So we'll start with the bitter apple first. Hope you guys are doing well out there. I'm going to share the screen. If there's any issues, please let me know and I will straighten it up on this test. Hope you guys are doing well out there. Who do I have here? It's Derek C. Williams. Hi, Derek C. Williams. Welcome in on your Saturday. Hope you're doing well. And we're going to go with, this is from Drew Hernandez. And we'll be covert, but we're going to throw some caution to the wind where available. So we'll do what we can to combat this, but you'll have to, if profanity is too strong for you, you might need to, step out for a few minutes. But I do apologize for that. But that is, these people are choosing to express themselves in these ways. And I think things are only going to get intense from here, folks. Thank you so much. And hello to Risen Ability, who are not late. And hello to Alien Believers. So I'll give you guys a full screen and we're going to go in on the test. All right. Thank you guys so much.
Drew Hernandez here in New York, where the anti-vax mandate protest is underway right behind me. Look right here. There are hundreds, possibly thousands of people that are preaching freedom over fear. They do not want to be controlled. They do not want to be the ones that are going to be authoritarian controlled right now. Listen, we have one right here. What do you have to say?
Is a liar. He sold us out. He's a liar. The classrooms are never safe. The classrooms are a mess. He had 18 months and he sold us out for a vaccine. He's a liar. I work in the school system, and I was told that I no longer can go back to work. Friday was the deadline at 5 p.m., and myself and other educators are out of a job now.
Well, what is happening is that I cannot get into the building. I cannot reach out to my children, my students, because I refuse to take the jab. And this is impacting me to the point where I have to face an early retirement. I'm 56 years old, and I was supposed to work until I was 62. Now I cannot. And they gave us two choices. We have one, get no money, stay for a year with some health care and no money at all. So that's tying my hands. The second one is you get some money, but you have to resign. Either way, by next year, they will resign me. That means I would have quit my job. So I didn't quit my job. My job quit me.
As a parent, I came out here to support these teachers. I have two sons in the public school system right now, and it is going to affect us. It is going to affect my children. Substitute teachers don't have the amount of experience to teach our children. And then now we're in a situation where we might have to take our children out of the school system and homeschool them.
What is your message to the federal government, the state government, the people that are destroying people's livelihoods? What is your message to them if you want to look directly into the camera and let the people know?
Cut the bullshit.
We've been talking to a lot of people today, educators, parents, and one of the big concerns that we've been hearing is, who's going to replace you guys? Just some random person off the street? Who? What are your concerns with that as well?
Well, I mean, for the teachers in general, they will try to pull in whatever subs they can pull in. And these are people that obviously they don't have the experience. They don't have the emotional bonds with the children that we have had from working in those buildings for years. And for speech and language providers, I don't know. I guess they'll have to try to contract out to agencies with other providers who hopefully are licensed, because you do have to get a license to do this. You need to earn a master's degree to do this. I'm assuming they'll try to get whatever contractors might be out there that, possibly don't even have experience working in the school system and understand what that's like. And they'll try to fill the gaps if they can. If not, the children will not get service. And I just pray to God that the parents are aware and that they realize that this is happening and that they have a voice and that they use their voice. Because as of now, children the DOE is not in compliance and they're actually breaking the law. They're not fulfilling the mandates for these children that are on my caseload, Those poor babies, they're not going to see me today. They're going to go, where's Miss Catoir? She's not coming to get me today. And it's a sad situation. My heart breaks. My heart breaks.
A lot of these kids see us as not just as their teachers, but as their family. I have kids from 18 years ago still coming to me, running up to me, hey, Pops, thank you for saving me from that gang. Thank you for saving me from poverty. Thank you for saving me from people that never cared about me and showing me that I had worth.
Because we're supposed to save the children of tomorrow, right? We're supposed to, like I said, teach them how to think, not teach them how to be submissive slaves to the system.
I am here on the Brooklyn Bridge in New York, where protesters have taken to the streets to protest the recent authoritarian policies that are destroying people's lives. I have Joy here with me right now. She's one of the political activists, very outspoken. What can you tell us, Joy? What's the message today?
Well, right now we're making our way to City Hall, and our message is very clear. We want our jobs, and we want them now. There's no reason that any of us should have been terminated, fired, put on unpaid leave, unable to get unemployment, or unable to work anywhere else. They're placing strangers in the schools to work with our students when we have 20-year, 30-year veteran teachers that have lost their jobs.
Joy, what are you hearing on the ground, and what is your message, particularly to the federal government, to the local government? What is your message to them today that you guys are trying to convey?
The message today is our body, our choice. We have rights. We have rights to our body. We have rights to freedom. America is essential to understanding that freedom is number one. Freedom is number one.
That's right, Steve. You can hear the crowd if you want to pan to the crowd. There are hundreds, possibly thousands of people that are protesting on the Brooklyn Bridge right now with their signs. I'm my own shot caller, my body, my choice, follow the money, X the science. There are a lot of people here that are allowing their voices to be known because these vax mandates are authoritarian and people's lives are being destroyed. You can see it's happening in real time out here on the Brooklyn Bridge in New York, and people are not going to be silent.
To bullying. Do not be a bystander to bullying.
Wake up, New York! Wake up, New York! Wake up, New York! Stay strong. New York is holding the line. If we stop in New York, the rest of the world is going down. And forget about all adults. The children. It's all about the children because their generation is never going to know what freedom is. If you don't have freedom over your body, you are a slave.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you were able to pick up a little bit of that. And so I'm just going to go with a couple of comments here. Hi, Joseph Francis Burton, and I had somebody else to come in. So this is a test, but it seems like it always ends up being one of the best streams. So thank you guys so much for joining me. And it's Tam out of Bubblegum. How are you? Thank you so much for coming in, and thank you so much for hitting the button. You know, if you're up to it, do it. If not, Reasonability says the Coliseum has always been one of the biggest distractions in history. You know, and I thanks so much, Angry Conservative. Well, I want to say this much. You know, the more I think about all the things that are going on, there's so many parallels. There's so many. Why do I get the sense? And to me, this is my point of. This is my shtick. Okay, right now, it just seems like there's so much that we can find parallels. We can find much of this in history. When I go all the way back to Rome, I mean, when you talk about the Republic and you talk about legalities and you talk about constitutions and You know, why did that republic, you know, a lot of people, we talk about constitutional republic versus what people being disingenuous say, oh, this is a democracy. And we've read about, you know, people being disingenuous by using the word democracy. But what do you do if is your republic corrupt? I mean, I think we have to start asking ourselves real questions. We have to start asking ourselves. I mean, this is, to me, it's bigger than, I think at this point, it's much bigger than just, you know, what we have here is, to me, this is a global takeover. This is to me, more of a global, dare I say, communism, a rearing to me of communism. And I think it's, you know, it's spreading everywhere. And what are our 500, you know, you guys clean it up if it's not right. We have 535 members of Congress. What are they doing? I mean, just this morning, I heard Rand Paul basically say, hey, fear your government. You need to fear your government right now, because if you go down to that school board talking about that CRT, you might end up on the list. But then he says, hey, there's already a list out there. So come on. Just, you know, tell me what you guys think. Tell me where you are. And Reasonability says, he says, the republic isn't corrupt. The people who sit in the public servant positions are. Okay. I can see that. I agree. I agree. We do it. You know, it does take the people. It's the people. You know, and to your point, you know, it's like when I was growing up, and I think many people, I'm going to say this, for those of us who are under the guise or under the umbrella of whether you refer to yourself as a Black American or African American, many people spoke of the government as something to fear. And they were comfortable in that. They would tell you, well, you better not do this, or you better not do that. Or, you know, it was something that people that these are adults. I'm talking about at the time in which I was a child or preteen, that kind of a bit. People always spoke of our government in some level of fear. Many people that I was around spoke of it as a unit to fear, but they never really related to them. They never really talked about the people inside the government. So thank you for that point, Reasonability. They don't really, it's like you got to give it that, when you give it the human element, you know, you start to see things, you know, a little bit differently. And you start to see that, you know, that the people and where the power, you know, where is the power? Is it amongst the people? Is that where it is? Or, you know, is it a myth that we all should have been? Is it a myth? Or why are there so many definitions? Or why were there so many myths? And I do think people, whether they're corrupt people or not, there are people that do fear the government, and there are people that always have in our country, in this society. They always have. I don't know how that's going to be. How do you get those people to realize that there's power in the people? How do you do that? But it doesn't, I don't have a lot of faith in, you know, these representatives that we have. I don't think they're doing diddly squat about anything. And these are people that have been sent there to, you know, it's like, I've said this before, there's so many distractions, and it's because they don't want you to focus on their ability as servants to serve, or what they are actually, or them protecting any form of rights. They don't want you to focus on that. So in the meanwhile, we've got the fall, and of course we've got football and on college level, and we've got the NFL, and you've got some people that's all they're focusing on right now. As long as they got their Red Bull and their entertainment, they're all good to go. But I don't know. Is it, you know, I think people are, you're seeing all kinds of demonstrations of what you want to call it, civic disobedience or whatever. And you got the rest of them that are just kind of sitting back, carrying on with themselves, mumbling on to themselves. Thank you so much, Derek C. Williams. So, and I have covered, this is not a lecture. It says test. Let me clear that up. But you can go back in the archives and see where I have kind of gone over some things whether, some things extensively. And I used to do a little bit more on the civic literacy, or I used to do a lot more, quoting of, dare I say, constitutional, giving you constitutional references for things. I am not dare I say, I wouldn't say that that's my domain of competence, but I do think that I don't think that I am, I don't think that I'm out of my gore, or that it's out of my reach, that I can't, find my way around the document or any part. But I've always tried to encourage people to, open your eyes to things that maybe you weren't really, weren't taught, or maybe you were taught fear rather than to, know who you are or what your rights are. Maybe you're one of those. I will say, I think the civics department in my school did a pretty bad job, and I think they still are. But I think that's also by design, because people can be controlled when they don't know, what power that they do have. And then they don't believe in themselves because they don't have, it's just not there. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And Derek C. Williams, he has given a reference to, so just FYI, when I throw caution to the wind on this channel, and I'm thinking it's probably going to get a lot worse, you should probably check out, for those of you that are new to the channel, LBRY, and you should check out LBRY/Odyssey /Twitch. I don't run these commercials, just the infomercials, just because, I am testing, and not even today, but it is to give you that, it's just to give you that, that a little bit of that, SOS signal that's available. So thank you so much for tuning in, and hello to Jermaine G. So we're going to keep going here. So I have a couple of articles here that will kind of wrap into some of the, I will give you a couple of articles that will kind of wrap into some things we're on about here today. So I'm actually going to give you we're going to go to Australia ×2. Now the next line is going to be we're going to take that liner from Zero Hedge, in which the Australians are being mandated to provide the police with the geo-trackable selfies to provide that, make sure you're in the right place. So I don't know. I'm going to take a quick little break, and I'll be right back. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. And it's White Horse Theology. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. AKA Killer Whale Channels. And I am catching up. Killer Whale Channels, not to worry. So we're going to keep going here. We're going to go over to Australia. And we're going to go there. And then we're going to go into a clip in which, you might see some of these references, some of these things going on in action. Okay, so this one is from Zero Hedge, and it is entitled "Australians Being Mandated to Provide the Police with Geo-Trackable Selfies to Prove Their Quarantining." Okay, so this is under the penmanship of whoever their Tyler Durden is. And according to this, in a move that again highlights how far toward a complete tyranny Australia has become in the wake of the CV, the citizens are being mandated to provide geo-trackable selfies to police to prove that they are staying at home. Okay, according to this, a report from Nine News in Australia details how people in Victoria are now required to respond to authorities within 5 minutes of them randomly calling by sending a selfie of themselves at home. If they fail to respond, health goons are sent to their address to dish out punishments. Now, punishments, you guys can, reimagine that for 2021, see where it takes you. Okay, the reporter notes, quote, today, the call has gone out to everyone in home quarantine in Victoria to take part in a pilot program. And what that means is they will receive random phone calls and they will have to answer within 5 minutes with a selfie sent to an app, which will then geo-track where that person is and to make sure they are who they say they are. Quote, if they do not answer within 5 minutes, that's when health ministers, we talked about health ministers and health czars the other day, health ministers come knocking, end quote. The reporter creepily adds. So we're going to watch this one a little bit. So I'm telling you, we're throwing some caution to the wind today. Hi, AZ Infidel. So I'm going to share that with you. If you guys can't hear, please let me know.
Call has gone out to everyone in home quarantine in Victoria to take part of our pilot program. And what that means is that they will receive random phone calls and they have to answer within 5 minutes with a selfie sent to this app, which will then geo-track where that person is and to make sure that they are who they say they are as well. If they don't answer within that 5 minute period, that's when health officers come knocking. Pete?
All right, don't get any ideas around here. According to this, Reuters reported on the scheme earlier this month, noting that it is being trialed in, quote, New South Wales and Victoria, home to Sydney, Melbourne, and more than half of Australia's 25 million population, end quote. The technology involved uses facial recognition, but health authorities have refused to comment on the scheme. Reuters noted that, quote, under the system being trialed, people respond to random check-in requests by taking a selfie at their designated home quarantine address. If the software, which also collects location data, does not verify the image against a, quote, facial signature, end quote, police may follow up with a visit to the location to confirm the person's whereabouts, end quote. It is something that was previously suggested for use in Britain, but was abandoned over fears of privacy invasion. A literal government surveillance mandate. And this says Australia is gone. So once again, thank you guys for tuning in on the test today. I really appreciate it. Let me grab some comments here on our test. And hello again to AZ Infidel. And let me just share this comment from Jermaine G first. And Jermaine G says that people gave away their power a long time ago so the government and the police can do as they like. Thank you, Jermaine G. AZ's here. Nice to see you. Joseph Francis Burton says the Ministry of Health comes knocking if you don't respond to the telescreen. He says, my God, Orwell was a prophet. Angry says, are they sitting outside of the house that they text? I don't know. That's a good question. I guess we'll see what happens with that. I'm sure there'll be videos. I have something for you next. So this is where the caution to the wind comes in on the test. AZ says they desperately want the same thing here. Ooh. White Horse Theology says 1984. And AZ says, fortunately, there is only a limited supply of health inspectors. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you guys so much for coming in. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to an example. I'm not familiar with this particular personality, but it looks like people have been following him for quite some time. And, looks like we'll see what happens on this one. So this one's going to come out of Australia as well. And Derek C. Williams says, freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. Okay, so I'm going to share the next one with you, and it's also going to come out of Australia as well. So we'll go to that one. And so here again, thank you guys for considering the like button in these times. So we should have a like button or an unlike button when it has 1984 for the unlikes. So let me go ahead and show you the next clip. We have an Australian arrest is what this is going to be. And And I'll try to give you some context on that. I am not necessarily following this personality, but it looks like he's got a Sergeant Kingston who is coming to arrest him live. So we're going to see, unfortunately, we're going to see something like that. Okay, so let's go there. Thank you guys for your patience, but this is a test. This is a test. Test for you, test for me. And yeah, we're going to go there right now. If you guys can't hear, please let me know. And I'll make sure I give you the full screen on this so you get the full experience. And thank you so much for coming in. Let me grab a couple of comments before we go with this one. Derek C. Williams says, quote, if you want a picture of the future, imagine a boot stamping on a human face forever, end quote. And Joseph Francis Burton says, just unenforceable. Derek says, the party aims to rip the mind to pieces. It's working. Okay. And yeah, absolutely. I agree, Derek C. Williams, with what you were saying earlier. Your method. I hear you. Every now and then, you know. Okay, so here we go. And then AZ says, right before we get going here, he says, my son works for the Forest Service. He said it's not as easy and as simple as it sounds. Okay, so here we are. And this one is entitled, Sergeant Kingston is coming to arrest me live. So this is someone who has not. I'm just going to give you, this is as general as I can be because I haven't followed all of his story, but he did stream this live for people to, to kind of get to see what's going on there. So he's anticipating he's about to get arrested. So we're going to see it here. So thank you guys so much. I'm a little stagnant here. Okay. All right. So here we are.
Here we are. We have, there we go. We have extra film there and footage. The police are right here. So we're going to put that there. Понятно, да? Снимаешь прямо.
Sir, sitting out about.
Hello? The guys got the police at the door. So how can I help you?
We don't have to chat yet.
You want to come in?
No. Come in.
Well, do you want to come inside?
We will if we have to, but we prefer you come to the door. Mr. Boyd,
Oh,
please just come to the door, mate.
No, you come inside. Come inside.
Stand up. Stand up. You're under arrest. Stand up.
I'm under arrest.
You're under arrest. Stand up. Move away from the desk. You're under arrest. Stand up. I cannot be any further. Here.
So what do you want to do? You want to
I
arrest
want
me?
you to stand up and move away from the table. I'm formally placing you under arrest. My name is Leading Senior Constable Kingston from Burwood Highway Patrol. I'll let you know right now that this conversation is being recorded on the body-worn camera. Do you understand that? Do you understand this being recorded on the body-worn camera?
I can understand that. So
Okay.
what are you arresting me for?
Okay, so you are under arrest, all right? You're under arrest because of an offence committed at 5:25.
Okay, can I get everyone to introduce themselves? I don't know if you're police or
No,
not.
hang on.
Who are you, sorry? So Jang, can I see a badge? Yeah, you've got a badge there. What's your name?
Sergeant Porchicciati from Burwood Police.
And Kingston. Now you've been making threats against me,
Okay.
and you've said you're going to get
I'm
me.
not going to entertain you
Is
tonight,
this what
okay?
you're doing? Is this
You
you're
are-
following
you are
through on the
under-
threat?
Listen, you are under arrest at the moment for an alleged breach of the Public Health Act that occurred at 5:25 p.m. Monday, the 4th of October, 2021, in the vicinity of Timberell Park, Rod Point. Okay, I'm going to remind you: you do not have to say or do anything if you don't want to. Anything you do say or do is being recorded, and this recording may be used in court as evidence. Do you understand that?
Yeah. So you're going to are you going to try and get violent with me now, or what are you going to do?
Come on, let's go, Mr. Boyd.
You want to cuff me or what?
You're under arrest.
Sorry about that, guys. So yes, there again, I was saying before I unmuted myself was that I'm not necessarily a content. I follow, any specific, Australians on content creations, but I have seen, of course, the elderly being pepper sprayed, or people in parks that are being, apprehended based on their violations, or what they're calling their violations, of health mandates and such, public health mandates and such. So yeah, so that was, very unfortunate. But of course, I think that there's a bit of context missing from that, because I think he's been on some other programs, and I think he's got a story to tell. So, you might continue to follow that up, or whatever you guys want to do. But yeah, so thank you so much for tuning in. And then we're going to cleanse our palate just a little bit. We're going to go over to what I think is an economy or an industry that's kind of dwindling or dying on the vine, so to speak. But before I do that, we're going to go to a commercial break, and I'll come back and tell you about, some of the corporate people having to come out, I guess, and roll up their sleeves and work because of the shortage of staff and cooks. So we'll be right back. I appreciate you guys so much for coming in on this test. So, and I'll also open this up just a bit. If you guys have anything you'd like to contribute, add, or share your perspectives, I appreciate that. We're available, and I will be right back. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And so our next story is going to come out of Yahoo News, which is not necessarily a vetted source of mine that I use regularly, but, I figure, it's fast food. How much of a twist can they put on it? Which, of course, they can. But in this case, I figure let's go with Raising Cane's, because that is a chain that I do believe is pretty far out west. And it looks like Raising Cane's puts corporate staff to work as fry cooks, cashiers amid staffing shortage. So, of course, by now, you guys have seen the amount of hiring signs that are either in windows or doing interviews today, empty dining rooms around the country. You've seen that. And so, yeah, you've seen even the grocery stores are offering up to $21,000 and tuition reimbursements, that kind of a bit. So we're going to go to a story right now. All right. So thank you guys so much for tuning in for the test. Okay. And this is coming out of Yahoo News. And I think Raising Cane's I've been the Raising Cane's before. And they do mostly, it's kind of like a chicken. It's not kind of like a chicken. It's a chicken restaurant, a chicken chain, dare I say. I guess you could compare it to like a Zaxby's, or, what do they have, like Guthrie's, or they have a Chick-fil-A. Chicken, all things chicken, okay? Chicken is the queen of the day, okay? So according to this, Raising Cane's puts the corporate staff to work as fry cooks, cashiers amid staffing shortages. Now, I did show you guys Flippy the other day, who started at Cali Burger. So I don't know. I'm wondering if they're going to start rolling these robots into these restaurants. Are we going to have a hybrid situation of robot flippies? If they're not flipping, they'll be doing, fries, and or will it be, illegals that are doing these jobs? Who knows? We'll see. But on to this. According to this is it's a penwoman or penmanship here of Samantha Kabuta. One Nation fast food chain is putting their corporate office employees to work in restaurants amid the ongoing worker shortage. Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers co-CEO and COO AJ Kumaran told Today Food that on a business call last week, he had mentioned they were, quote, struggling to have meaningful crew members, end quote, in the field. Quote, our business is very, very busy and we need more people, end quote. He said he told folks on the call, quote, it's very tough. So before I knew it, my phone calls started blowing up with people asking, quote, how can we help? Kumaran said everyone, even at the corporate level, is trained when they start at the company as fry, cook, and cashier. Quote, if you look at my title, I am the CEO, fry cook, and cashier, end quote, he explained. Quote, so I said, well, why don't we all step in and help group people and help fill some holes, end quote. Okay, so, and then this little video here shows the culture of people, of course. Food service is always interesting, okay, and demanding. And it says, he said they have 750 corporate employees with about 500 in their main office in Dallas, with another 250 in the field already. Quote, so we said, whoever wants to sign up can sign up and just go out there and just do whatever it takes, end quote, he said. In some cases, the employee is helping as a fry cook or on the cash register, but they're also hosting job fairs, doing interviews and training. The Baton Rouge, Louisiana-based company has 580 locations nationwide, and it's looking to hire 10,000 new restaurant workers by the end of November, according to a Bloomberg report. Quote, what we are doing is kind of like all hands on deck, an all hands on deck approach, end quote, he said. Raising Cane's plans to invest almost $70 million in wage increases over the next few weeks for frontline workers, Kumaran said. And quote, restaurants are still nearly 1 million jobs, or about 8% below pre-pandemic, which is double national employment levels, end quote. Vanessa Sink, a spokesperson for the National Restaurant Association, told Today, quote, restaurant jobs remain below June 2019 levels in 46 states and DC, end quote. So let's see, this story continues here. Okay. Sink pointed to data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which showed 1.4 million restaurant job openings on the last business day of June. It's something Kumaran knows well. He explained all restaurants operate on, quote, razor thin margins, end quote. Quote, the wages or the market is very competitive. Wages are going up. Cost of doing business is going up. The supply chain is a mess and prices are going up, end quote, he said. Adding that he has no idea how mom and pop businesses are surviving the pandemic. Quote, these are unprecedented times, to say the least. It is my heart goes out to them, end quote. So it also looks like there's a correction here. So according to this, a previous version of this article misstated that Raising Cane's has 530 locations, and it actually has 580 locations. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it on this testy Saturday. All right, so I'm going to, thank you so much, Angry Conservative. He says, you just followed me on Twitch. Yes, I would like to get those Twitch, get some interaction up over on Twitch, and I'm probably going to be doing that. We were going a little bit heavier on the Twitch drive earlier this year, but I think we'll try to ramp that back up. And I might even go to a weekend schedule for in the coming months, probably starting this month. So that's probably when you'll be able to catch the streams, like either here or there. So we'll see what happens. So I'm going to read a couple comments And I'm going to put a link out here. See if you guys have any comments, if you have any sightings in your area. You know, I've talked to you guys before about artificial intelligence, whether it was Sophia, whether it's Sophia, the PT, physical therapist that might be training some of the elderly during the pandemic, or whether it's Flippy, if you see a Flippy in one of your restaurants or your favorite chain. Or dare I say, have you seen, if you end up, if Moxie has showed up anywhere in your community, or if anybody in your family has purchased a Moxie for small skills and AI. All right. So who do we have? Let me go backwards here just a little bit. So there you have an actual link out there. If you want to chime in. I'm going to pick up the phone. That's all good. And let me start back here. I'm going back just a little bit here to catching up. And Angry Conservative says, okay, so I think he's referring to the video that I showed out of Australia, New South Wales / Victoria. He says, well, it's straight out of Nazi Germany. AZ Infidel says firearms are the reason it's not happening here. I agree, AZ Infidel. Yeah. Point well taken there. And Derek C. Williams, thank you so much. How was your Saturday, Derek C. Williams?
Yeah, shout out of respect due to Black Spring with Autumn. Can you hear me?
I can. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. How you?
I'm hanging around, Derek. Doing well enough. I'm well enough.
Yeah, you was talking about artificial intelligence. I did a story about this guy named Anthony Lewandowski. I think he helped create PayPal or one of these services. And he had a 501c3 church called Way of the Future. And that church entailed having artificial intelligence as God. And they had their own Bible called the Manual. And from what I understand, it was taken off, but I don't know, just mysteriously he took that church away. But I think it was a little while ago I was reading that the church got dissolved. And I think in Dubai, if I'm not mistaken, they do have robots that are they work security for some of the malls, some of the high-end malls in Dubai, I believe. And I also, I obviously I'm not really making content. I'm gonna get around to it, but if you would, I would like for you to do a presentation on it's this thing that they're building over in the Middle East called NEOM, and it's supposed to be an artificial intelligence heaven. Everything is artificial intelligence based. It's supposed to be 33 times the size of New York City. They have a website called NEOM, that's NEOM.org, I think, and they show you the construction of this place. It's geographically positioned to where you can get to Africa, you can get to the Middle East, you can get to Asia, you can get back over to Europe, you can shoot back over to North America and all this type of stuff. So like I kind of follow artificial intelligence too, because I think that that's exactly where we're going. I think if you let the elite get their way, many of them are going to end up like Johnny Depp on Transcendence, and a lot of us are going to be lab rats. And I think I told you about a year ago, that just makes the hair on my neck stand up, man. I just it ain't good. It ain't good. So that's pretty much all I want to say regarding that. And with regards to the mandates and all this type of stuff here. I put in the comment section that all this stuff was growing the whole time around people, but folks is so interested in Real House of Atlanta and football. Are you really shocked at all this stuff? And people that follow this stuff, like you saw it coming a mile away, but it's just so funny to see your average person so shocked at all this. Like, well, this is America. This can't happen. It is happening right under your nose, my man. So,
I can't, I can't say that I'm not shocked at that. I had somebody to ask me the other day, said, to your point, I said, he was like, well, where are you? He was asking me about, California and different things. He said, well, what's going on in California? And then, you know what, Derek, I didn't mean to be rude, but, it's like, I am not here to, pontificate and go into those kinds of depths anymore, where we are right now. If you don't know what's going on, you're going to have to find it in your own devices and your own resources to do so, because I am not a missionary in this regard. You got to look it up for, he's asking me about the cost of living and a friend that can't quite do this and that. I'm like, look, you got to do your own research. I can't do it for you. I'm not going to do it for you, but thank you.
Yeah, that's my biggest thing with a lot of people too. I find that, not everybody got all these questions. When I was going live on YouTube, I would, at most, I would pick up like maybe 8, 9, 10 people. And because I go back and look at some of the stuff on, because all my videos will say the library. So I go back and look at some of that stuff now, and it's just amazing how like all that stuff I was reading off that they were saying they were going to do. Now a lot of that stuff is coming to pass. And people be like, well, Derek, what's this? What's that? And I'm like, that ain't on me. That ain't on me. That ain't on me. That I'm and I was actually saying when I was going live, I said, I'm just trying to get me and my daughter through, because I see that people, they not interested. They only interested unless they ass is in trouble. Well, now we're in trouble. And I think, every dog got their day. And I've often said, I made peace with dying. I'm 54. I made peace with dying early. I tried to put stuff in place, for my daughter. My daughter is well aware of a lot of this stuff too. So she has a similar mindset. She's on Instagram and she catching grief, but a lot of folks ask her questions now, like she this prophet and all that. But no, that's so you have a democracy. I think Benjamin Franklin said you have a democracy for as long as you're willing to fight for it. And Americans just relinquished all that. So just to see these people like, yo, they can't do this. So yes, they can, because we've allowed it. That's all. Real simple.
Well, there you go. That was, very much well put, as per usual. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not, and you can even go to another level in which, whether it's family or not, it's the same thing with them. I am not out here handling pamphlets out, and I'm not doing any of those things. You have got to, well, it's not on the television. Oh, we don't have that here. Exactly. What are you referring to? Can you read? Or can you read? That's all I want to know. If you cannot read, then you are at a horrible disadvantage. But you can read, and I know you can. But it's like some of these people, they want to go back to their little utopia. And just last year, people that were not people, you were essential. This year, if you're not mocktail, you're nothing. What are you going to be next year? And they still don't see it.
Well, I think, what I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they invested and they believe that none of this stuff is happening. Oh, this will just be a passing phase. And I did, well, again, I reference some of the stuff I would read when I was going live. CNN, and I'm gonna find when I drop down, I'll put the article in the stream so people can read what I read online. CNN themselves, the most trusted name in news, if you believe that, they actually said last April or whatever, don't expect a new normal ever. It's best for you to accept what is and let that be that. But people are always talking about going back to normal. No. Ain't no normal. The most trusted name in news said it won't be. But just the same, people are so invested in having stuff. They're so invested in the system, I should say, that they don't want to see. And they'll just keep saying, if I say it enough, it'll, normal to come back if I say it enough. No. No, it don't work like that. It don't work like that.
Wow. I know. And then this is another thing. Whether you're religious or not, I think a lot of people think that whether they have faith or whether they, whatever they're holding on to in this in these times, it's almost like they think they can kind of hustle their way. If they say, oh, for people that are, that people that have gone the more Bible schools and more Bible vacations and did more church than I ever did as a kid, it's almost like some of these people think they can hustle their God and say, oh, well, I didn't know. Whatever I do, even if I do this, if I do this, he's still gonna make everything all right. Or I'm still gonna be protected, because even if I do this, it's like, well, I don't know if it works that way. You had, and some people say, oh, well, maybe, some people say, oh, well, God's trying to show us something. He's trying to slow us down. Okay. But what have you observed yet? What are you looking at every day? You're not, you know what I mean? It's like, you're not, whatever he's trying to show you, you're not looking at it. Your head is down in the sand. And all you heard was that somebody was going to give you some free money, give you a universal basic income, and that's all you're holding on to. And it's really sad, Derek C. Williams. And I'm talking, this is, kind of hits home with me, because I know people like that. That's all they heard from this regime, was that maybe they were going to give them a stimulus check, and that's all they heard. Okay. That's maybe I'm wrong.
Well, regarding, I was, I often say, I was raised in Mississippi, and Jesus got a chokehold on the South. I was raised as a Methodist, but I consider myself an agnostic. I'm just a skeptic. I clearly there must be something bigger than man. Now, what that is why people have died over religion and belief and stuff like that. That's my personal view. I don't know the Creator's proper name. I just would say that, yes, clearly there has to be something bigger than man. Now, what that is, I don't know, and I don't suspect a believer knows either. That's just what you've been taught. But I would just say two things regarding those who claim they believe. First off, faith without works is dead. That's what that book said. But no one is doing any work. They just, or they'll say, well, I'm covered in the blood. Okay, well, if you're covered in the blood, why are your churches closed? Why are you afraid to congregate in the so-called house of the Lord? But I think I told you on several occasions, I don't see Jesus social distancing or taking a shot. I just don't. Not the Jesus that I was taught coming on. I just don't. And just the last thing, if you have all this faith, why it seems like the faith has been abdicated to people in white lab coats. If you believe that God got you, you shouldn't have to worry about no virus. You shouldn't have to wait on no vaccine. You shouldn't have to wait on none of that. So it makes me as a skeptic look at you even double messed up, because everything you claim on Sunday, you're not applying no other time during the week. And like I said, they effectively took their God away, because everybody's scared to go to church. My daddy is a head deacon, and I name names. My daddy is a head deacon at his church in Greenville, Mississippi, Mount Carmel. He said he ain't going back to church. And I'm thinking to myself, hold on, this is not the man that raised me. My daddy raised me to stand up and don't be scared of nothing. Be cautious, but don't be afraid. And to hear him say he ain't going back into the church, I think, hold up. But then again, I got an idiot brother with 2 degrees who took the shot, and I told both of them, because that y'all took the thing, God be with you. I'm gonna go on and like I said again, I'm an agnostic, but I'm gonna go on the God that I was taught coming up. And I'm just going to stand on this faith, even though I'm an agnostic. So go figure. Yeah, you still there, Black Spring?
Sorry about that. I'm hitting mute and
no, that's all right.
Sorry about that. But I appreciate you always for sharing things that are close to you and things that you've come to learn, over the years, because you're right, to your point. That was the most staggering thing that I've seen, that people have, they would not go to church during this time, and they wouldn't stand on everything they said that they believed in. They won't stand. You're not standing on that. You're running You're ducking and hiding, and it says, and that's antithetical to what you said you believed in for 30 years. You said that you're not supposed to fear, quote, man, but are you not fearing man?
Sure.
What is he's the government? It's like the government's man, right? It's a man, you man, but it's definitely a man. And then, but everything is so twisted. You know, I told you this before. Why do people say, if you tell people you're going out buying a new car, buy a home, oh, well, that's a blessing. It's dead, but they tell you it's a blessing. We have accepted, you know, the opposite of so many things because of the way, you know, I think things are designed. You know, but the believers, on the other hand, I'm just like, I just don't even, it's not that I've lost respect for these people, but I just do find your own way, you know, fortify yourself.
That's kind of, when you were talking, I just saw, when you talk about the believers, I just had this vision in my head of Wardell Stephen Curry of the Golden State Warriors. You notice how athletes, just to show you about how funny style they are with their God, when Wardell, that's his name, Wardell, not Steph, his middle name is Steph. Wardell Curry makes a 3-point shot, he hits his chest and points up to God. He don't do that when he misses a shot. I always wonder about that. Anytime a football player scores a touchdown, or somebody hit a home run, or hockey player scores a goal, they always point up to the sky. When they miss, you don't see none of that. I always wondered about that. Always wondered about that. And Wardell does it every time. And I called him Wardell for the simple fact, he's one of the first clowns out here to interview Fauci. Made no challenge to the man on what he said, and apparently holds on to dear life to what he said. So, you know, but when you was talking, I just had that vision of the so-called believer. They so quick to acknowledge when they do something good, but when times are tough, you don't hear. You don't hear about God then.
No, and I find that kind of hypocrisy in so many cases. So there I am. I'm going down a rabbit hole, but I'm pointing out, you know, things that, you know, all things, you know, are people literally just walking contradictions, or are they talking out of both sides of their mouth so much you just don't? I don't know what you've been saying all this, but it doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I really appreciate it. But yeah, I think we'll see more. You know, we'll see more funny things, more shenanigans, more funny business. But yeah, I just think everybody should make sure you're getting prepared, because you know, I think these shortages and this kind of a bit, that's definitely real. And I've even heard some people go so far as to say that they're not. Now here comes that thick conspiracy theorist. They're not sure. Are there containers with products and supplies there, or is there something else there? Are there?
Yeah. Well, I know for myself, I've told you I've been a quote pseudo prepper since 2014. I've been buying storable foods, emergency power equipment, and stuff like that. And I got it stored to where I can get to it. You know, I don't talk about these things. I mean, I'm telling you, but I don't talk about these things to nobody here in Philadelphia. I just grab it. But preppers don't look so crazy now. And so when these food shortages and these rolling blackouts that, from what I understand, soon to come to the East Coast, you know, then people will, you know, hope see the light. But at that point, they gonna be too late. I just don't talk about it. Like I said, my daughter is well aware. She be 17 next month. She's well aware of this stuff, and I, you know, for lack of a better term, prepped her on some things I look for her to do and things like that. But you have to, you know, if you don't look into these things, you have nobody to blame but yourself. So thank you for having me on. I ain't want to hog up too much of your time, and you take care of yourself.
No, I appreciate you. No hogging on the time here. So I appreciate you so much. And did I hear you say that you're potentially going to be coming back on? You're going to be reviving your channel, or like I'm probably going to do another channel.
Well, Black Spring, they say 3 times is the charm. So, you know, again, they took the first channel because I simply put up a video of what the chief medical officer at Moderna said, is that we're hacking the software of life. So they took the channel based off that and other videos I did. And then they took the second channel because I put up a video regarding the San Francisco Gay Male Choir where they said they're going to convert children to gay. So I'm going to try a third time very soon. I'll be uploading the video soon. And so we're going to try a third time. And if they take this one down, I'm going to let them go. But just let it be known, Susan We Just Got don't like you. I think you are no good. The 23andMe co-founder, she is no good. Her parents ran from socialism and tyranny, and then she comes up here to be a tyrant herself. So Susan We Just Got don't like you at all. So thank you for having me on your platform, Black Spring, and you take care of yourself. Salute to your chat. All right.
Well, thank you so much, Derek C. Williams, and we look forward to seeing you.
Yes, ma'am.
Have a great rest of your Saturday.
Yes, ma'am. You too. All right. Salute.
Bye-bye. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Derek C. Williams. And I want to thank you guys again for tuning in on this version of the test. And yeah, I'm going to be, resetting things up around here. So this is, there's some things to be done. But yeah, so we did throw some caution to the wind today. I don't know if there'll be blowback or not, but, I want to throw some caution to the wind. It's time, and it's probably only going to get hotter around here, to be quite honest and to be fair about it in these times. So I appreciate it. And I'm going to run a couple more infomercials. And yeah, please get over to LBRY, get over to Twitch or Odyssey, whatever they're calling it. Because who knows what they're going to do? I think they are working really hard to shut down dissent, and they're calling it everything except for dissent. So if you're over there, you'll have some access, and I'm thinking I'm going to probably employ something else. Who knows? And I might even go to weekends because I'll probably be at work throughout the week. So we'll see what happens there. But I'll run a couple of infomercials, and thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll be back to say salute to everyone. And thank you so much again, Derek C. Williams, for coming on. And I will be right back. Into this segment of Black Spring with Autumn on the test. So thank you so much. And thanks so much for Derek C. Williams. So let's see, who do we have in the chat? We're going to say salute. And thank you guys so much for the links. And yeah, so just hang in there. You know, I'm doing some revamping around here, but I'm going to close out. But yeah, a lot of things, of course, going on. And yeah, so just one last point. Now, I don't know if you guys caught, what was it? I caught just some of the commentary on the economy and the numbers that were released yesterday. And, you know, this narrative about blaming the unpricked, you know, that's kind of like my new word, you know, accept it. Unpricked, hate speech against the unpricked, blame the unpricked for the economy. You know, what was it? I'm paraphrasing here. Biden says, you know, quote, I'm paraphrasing, we gave you ample time to resolve your concerns. So he can giveth and he can taketh away. Is that? I don't think so. I don't, you know, and he's not my father or my God. So to some people he is, but certainly not to me. So yeah, you know, and the saga continues. Prickly. We're tired of the prickly narrative here. Yeah, so, you know, there you go. I appreciate it. And like I said, you know, good luck to New York. But to Derek's point, I meant to agree with him that, you know, this volcano has been getting ready to erupt for a long time. And, you know, whether it's the teachers, see, the thing about it is that I think many of the teachers don't understand that these teachers unions, they've kind of co-sponsored themselves as some form of whatever, like the 3-digit agencies. They've kind of, you know, turned into some kind of civic society in which they think that they can control what the teachers can and cannot do. And I have to say this, I find it like I have quite a few friends, and many of them, I have quite a few liberal friends, whether they admit it or not. They've bought, invested into this whole thing, the CV-19 thing, on every level. They've been invested in on it. But then I'm telling you, I find that is, they tend to buy hook, line, and sinker, and they're paying the price. And it's a pretty hefty price that they're going to pay. Because of the teachers unions. I, for one, I will tell you, I did tell you this. I told you that when I was teaching, I did not do a union because, you know, they were pretty aggressive. Just like now, it's like this is aggressive approach to this prick, for lack of a better word. Predatory. We got predatory demands right now. People running out of patience and that kind of a language. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Never a dull moment, right? So we're going to go in right now and say salute to everyone on Saturday. Thank you so much again, Derek C. Williams, for coming in. And from the top, Angry Conservative, thank you so much for coming in. And thank you, Angry Conservative, for becoming a member of the Twitch family. Thank you so much for that. Nick Smith, thank you so much. DJ Vision Barnett, thank you so much for tuning in. Tyrant Spain TDOA, thank you so much for tuning in. I think you're online, Tyrant Spain TDOA, so if you guys are interested, you know, TDOA is full spirited, and I think he's online right now, or he was. Thank you so much for supporting the channel the way you do, Tyrant Spain TDOA. And also Reasonability, thank you so much for tuning in, Alien Believers. And let's see, Tam out of Bubblegum. Thank you so much for coming in and supporting the channel. Joseph Francis Burton, thank you so much for tuning in and supporting the channel. Yeah, I really appreciate that. And I did encourage you guys again, and thanks to Derek C. Williams and to AZ Infidel, thank you so much for all you're doing for your support of the channel. Please get over to LBRY, get over to Twitch, get over to Odyssey, whatever they're calling themselves these days, because like I said, we don't know what's going to happen, you know, with these platforms. You know, they don't like something here, then, you know, what will they do? White Horse Theologies, thank you so much for supporting the channel. AKA Killer Whale Channels, thank you for doing that. And yeah, very supportive. White Horse Theology, aka Killer Whale Channels. And thank you guys for the links. I have to catch up with these links. And I can't really snap them right now, but I will get them. And yeah, so I guess, I don't know, every now and then you have to, as to Derek C. Williams' point, you know, you got to unwind a little bit. You got to unwind a little bit. So whether you choose to unwind with the bread bowl and the football today, whatever you do, enjoy yourself. I don't know what your team is, but I have a couple of teams, but I don't share them on here. Or at least, let's see, who am I watching today? Some of the guys in the family say, who you got today? And I'm like, I don't know. They think it's absolutely hysterical that I started watching football some years ago because I hated it as a kid. But yeah, you're gonna whine somewhere, you know. Somewhere, even though I don't agree with a lot of these organizations, but you know, just see what's going on there. And your conservative says we are hashtag True Blood. And Derek C. Williams says his patience is wearing thin. And yeah, so I appreciate it, guys. So have a great rest of the day, and we will get things going here. Yeah, we'll get some a change in the studio scenery around here. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day and enjoy your bread bowls and entertainment and whatever you do to unwind and tap. See you guys.